Good morning, my friends. I hope you're all doing very well. L'chaim, l'chaim. Today we're going to be learning the continuation of the laws of how to write a Torah scroll. So over here, the Rambam is going to be discussing the details in regards to how to actually write the Torah and the various mistakes that can actually come up when a person is writing it. So, although this is more specifically geared towards someone who actually writes a Torah, a scribe, but it's a very important part of things to know, and next time you'll open up a Torah, you might notice how this all plays itself out. So the Rambam begins, and we're learning chapter 8 of the laws of Tefillin, Mezuzah, and the Torah. And the Rambam begins by telling us that there are two ways in how you can have there are two ways in how to have an open paragraph, and there are three ways on how to have a closed paragraph. Meaning, when we have, as we said, we mentioned this briefly yesterday, when you have a paragraph in the Torah, there are various ways that the paragraph can begin and end. Meaning, if you have a paragraph, I'm going to try to show this to you. If you have a paragraph, so you have a few lines, and then the paragraph begins, let's say there is one word on the next line. So that's where the end of that paragraph is. So there's still a lot of space all the way till the end of the space of that line. So if it's an open, we're talking about an open paragraph, which basically means that we're going to let it till the end of the line will be open, and then we will start the next paragraph on the next line down. All right? Now, then there is another way. Let's say you've written the paragraph, and it comes to the end of the paragraph on the last line, and there is not space of 9 letters left on that line. Meaning, you've written it, and the last line is very long, and it comes almost all the way till the end of the line. So if there is not a space of 9 letters left, then you will go and you will skip a line and start from the next line. So you actually have a space in between the paragraph. That's an open paragraph. Then there is an idea called a closed paragraph, where you have a paragraph and it finishes, let's say, in the beginning of the line, and then you have a space of 9 letters, as we said, and then you will start the next paragraph on the same line. So usually, in regular textbooks or regular books which you read, you don't actually have that. You don't have a paragraph that starts on the same line as the previous paragraph. But over here in the Torah, there is such a concept which is called a closed passage. It's called a closed paragraph, where it begins on the same line and you just have a space in between, and then you start the next one. And this is an interesting concept, and we have to know how to do this. It's part of the Torah knowledge. So it's a very interesting concept. So then the Rambam goes on to explain that if we have, as we explained yesterday, we mentioned this idea in short, and the Rambam says that if you have a Torah scroll, which sometimes we have a word which is written and it's fully with the vowels of the word. As we mentioned, there are certain letters in Hebrew that are vowel letters. For instance, a vav, the letter vav, is a vowel letter as well. Not always, but it also is used as a vowel. And there are other letters. The letter yud is also a letter that can be a vowel. So certain words will have the letter of the vowels spelled out, so the word is written in its long form. And then you have sometimes that a word is written in its short form without the vowel letters. So, if a person wrote a Torah and he didn't write it correctly according to the letters that are supposed to be full or not full, or if he wrote the Torah with the passages that are supposed to be open and instead he made it a closed paragraph, or the other way around, So then, as we said, the Torah would not be complete, would not be fit for use as a Torah scroll. And similarly also in regards to the songs of the Torah, as we said, that in the song of Az Yashir, in the song where the Jews crossed the Sea of Reeds, so they had a special song, so there's a special way of the way it's written out, and I'll actually show it to you in a moment of how this looks. So, if that's for a Torah scroll, in such a case, there is no other way to use this as a Torah scroll, and you're going to actually have to take out that page if you have a few mistakes and you can't actually fix them. If they're fixable, then you can fix them. But if not, you just got to take out that whole piece of parchment, which is a lot of work. I mean, it takes many hours to write one full page of parchment of letters, and you're going to have to take it out and start again. And the Rambam says that because he's seen that there are many mistakes and people are confused in regards to the matters of exactly how this is supposed to be, which paragraphs are supposed to be open paragraphs, which paragraphs are supposed to be closed paragraphs. So therefore, he spells out in his book of laws every single paragraph, which ones are open paragraphs, which one are closed paragraphs. So we're not going to go through all the various ones entirely to go through it, but so he goes through over here, and he actually tells us that this is based on the Torah scrolls from really back in the day, all the way back from the time of the temple, and it's pretty impressive. And he says that, therefore, he's going to give us this information, and this is, the Rambam himself says that he wrote a Torah based on this, this tradition that was passed down from generation to generation. So it'd be interesting to see a Torah that the Rambam himself wrote. Evidently, he was also a scribe. So he goes through the 5 books of Moses from the book of Bereshit through the book of Shemot, so Genesis, Exodus, all the way through, and it's quite long, and he goes through all the different paragraphs throughout the Torah that there are, which are open paragraphs and which are closed paragraphs, and all the way through all the books of the Torah, and he describes exactly how it's supposed to be. So then, when it comes to the song of the again, as we said, the song of Az Yashir, when the Jewish people crossed the Sea of Reeds going into the desert after they left Egypt. So there's a special way it's supposed to be written, and it's not just a regular column full of text, but actually it is in a special form. And I'll actually show it to you just over here on my screen where I'm reading the text. You can actually see over here how the words, there's a space in between on the lines, and they're in 3 different parts on one line, and then 2 parts on the middle line. So it's very interesting, and this is what the Rambam describes for us over here of how the Torah is written. And he says that this is very important, and in order to have a complete Torah scroll, then it should be kosher and fit for use. It has to be in such a way. So, that is the chapter of Rambam for today. And I wish you all a very good Shabbos. And we will, God willing, continue with the rest of the laws of how to write a Torah and how to use it. We'll be in touch. Have a good one.